Hey everyone. Um, I got a list of points to talk about, and this is going to be a difficult one to talk about. It's very personal. Um, Something that I've realized I need to focus on as part of my healing, as it's so foundational in my complex trauma, is harm that was done to me. So, looking at, I guess it's a good point to actually start at where I am now, and then I'll work backwards and then work through it. So, um, currently, I have no sex life at all. Haven't for a long time, and essentially, my trauma has caused me to have no sex life in a sense my whole life from an adult, and so I did have relationships. I had I had a long term relationship and then a brief relationship, but that was it. Um, but I had some very horrible experiences as a child that what I say mutilated my sexuality, and um, it all got compounded by having um, humiliation and bullying on top of that. So where I am now is, you know, I'm longing for a relationship and to have intimacy, but that is such a difficult concept to even grasp at the moment because it is. I need to, for starters, I need to be in a better position financially. I need to be in a better position physically. I'm unfit. I have um, obligations and commitments which are restrictive. So that allows me to actually not worry so much about my current situation. But it still doesn't stop me from having the same um, ongoing pain. So, like I was saying, since being an adult, where everyone else gets to have a sex life and they get to get married and become parents and do all this stuff, none of that happened for me. So I have a lot of pain, not just associated with the trauma, but also with the fact that I've lacked having experiences. And this has been a, how you going, Preppy? I'll interact with the chat as I go. Normally, I like talk and only interact towards the end, but maybe we can make this a conversation as we go along. So I've got notes here, like um, thank you, Preppy. Preppy says I've been here I'm here with you again. I've been looking for this all week. Thank you. I'm grateful that I'm able to be here and share my journey with everyone, and you know, it's helping me. And if it helps others, that's awesome. Like it's helping us all. So you know, um, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Um, so like I won't go into any details with any stuff because I don't want this to be content warning or any of that sort of stuff. But the um, I am compared to what I used to be. Preppy says you're not unfit. I will compared to what I was a year ago or 2 years ago. I was very fit, and but yeah, I still have fitness. Yeah, I am too harsh towards myself. Um, so the early childhood experiences were very shaping for me, and they spanned um, from a young child to adolescence, and that's when the bulk of it all happened. And they were varied experiences, so it means that I have not just one thing, that has contributed to this. It's like multiple things. Um, Preppy says we can't just give up. Don't compare us to them. That's a really good way to think about it. Oh, that's awesome. Preppy says you're mentally, if even if you're considering it. So, you're saying in fitness. I think I am pretty strong in the mind right now. Like um, I've been through crisis in the last year, and I've recovered, and that's been a major thing for me is to go through that. So, Preppy says, "Oh, I was a mummy, and it was taken away from me without me being an addict or anything bad." That's horrible to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that happen to you. You know, that is, it really is the way the system works can be so unfair towards people, you know. And I was going to share part of an experience I've had that with because I should have become a father myself, and that was taken away from me. Um, Thank you, Preppy's saying how much I mean to her by doing these streams. So thank you so much. No, that's good. Keep participating. I'm reading your comments. I'm not like, um, thank you so much. Preppy says you're making a big place for us. Please give us this credit. I don't want to lose this. Thank you. No, that's it. I'll keep doing this. And it's you'll see my journey as I get better. And I get stronger and I start doing things more. And so, um, I think that's why I got onto this subject today because it's like this is a major thing that I was neglecting, and it came about when I started reading this book called "Heal the Body, Heal the Mind." It's a somatic healing therapy book, and it was quite confronting. I'm only halfway through it. I'm just over halfway, and it really got to me how much I was neglecting this major aspect to my trauma and how I need to actually address it and work on it. So, um, my experiences as a child were varied, and extended across a um, a long period of time, and then um, when it stopped, I still had to go through the after afterwards. Like it's even though the trauma had finished, I was still going through the effects of it in my later adolescent teens. And excuse me, it it meant that I never really, like, again, social status anxiety, social anxiety. I never got to have a girlfriend growing up. I had women that were interested in me, but it just never happened. I was extremely frigid, and then thank you, Preppy. It's good that we can all connect across the planet, across the globe. We will get better. Thank you. We can do it. Preppy, you're awesome. Um, so yeah, I was sort of starting with the severity of it being like, because they were varied and some of them were quite severe. It's not like I had, and they, I'm not, everyone's experience with trauma is different. Some people have um, a single abuser, and it's for many years. I had several separate occasions that were sporadic, but they were very traumatic and they were varied. So the fact that there was this difference about each one meant that accumulatively, um, it created a bigger problem for me. It affected me more so in my teenage years in self confidence and being able to just enjoy life. I People always say how happy and friendly I was. I was an exuberant sort of person, but I was always switching and shying off. You know, shutting down. Um, I was lucky to have good friends growing up. You know, um, I'm just getting a little bit overwhelmed thinking about some of this stuff. But look, it's one of the most painful aspects to um, having a closed off sexuality was I did go on several dates with women just after high school, and I would be afraid to take it any further. And that was painful for me because they were expecting something and I couldn't, and it was painful. Um, I had experiences where I had friends as well that were um, female that were very happy to be comfortable with me, and they would even uh, act in a sexual nature towards me, but only because they felt comfortable with me. And um, I had opportunity to do something with it, but I would freeze. And this is because of all of those earlier experiences. So there was a chance for healing in that later teenage years, but it didn't happen. So I think healing can happen in several ways. Like it can be a form of liberation where you let go of the constraints, or it can be more of a formal sort of thing where it's done um, slowly and um, you know, you almost go through rites of passage as far as um, having experiences. And I didn't get any of those experiences. And so what happened to me was on graduation day of high school, I had a severe accident at work, and I was very traumatized by that. And so it meant that in that first year out of high school, I had a couple of experiences where there was um, the opportunity for interaction, and I just wasn't in the right place because so I was still shocked and traumatized from what I'd gone through. So that took me a few years really to actually recover from. And in that time, I also had another severe accident, which I talked about in the last stream. But going back to childhood, like I started growing man boobs, you know, when I was 12 years old. And um, I spoke about this in the last stream. Um, people would, everyone in the almost not everyone, half the grade had their go at coming up and grabbing me on the breasts and squeezing my nipples and stuff, and that was very traumatic, and that was sexual harassment, and um, beyond sexual harassment, really, it was a mild form of sexual abuse, really. um, and this happened this was happening after my period of early childhood experiences. So it went from one thing to another thing, and then when I was 19 years old, I was um, severely humiliated sexually, and I won't go into any details, obviously, but it was a major thing. um, especially because I'd just gone through some very tough years, and it was at a time when all of my friends were exploring their sexuality and starting to have casual sex and having girlfriends, and um, at this point in time, this thing that happened to me was so major. It And the worst thing about this thing was is that it actually continued on for a long period of time. So once this humiliation event happened, I was continually reminded of it, um, for many, many years afterwards in lots of different ways. And there's no reason for it except for the fact that the people that were doing it would felt like it was they had a right to do this, you know, and it was just not right. So it was an attack on not only my sexuality but me as a person as well. So it was pushing me down, keeping me down. And at the same time, I was also experiencing emotional abuse, um, in the form of similar, um, types of humiliation, or low level, um, emotional abuse that people, friends, do to each other, make fun of each other type thing. But because I'd gone through this very severe, I'd already had the childhood experiences and adolescent, and then um, failed, you know, right when I was like just out of high school, and I did go on several dates, and I would freeze up, and it was humiliating for me because they were expecting something and I couldn't deliver it, and then I wanted it, but I didn't know how to open up myself. I was closed. So I was essentially made fun of by my own friends at times. They were still my friends, and we had great times, but we also had these things where I was being targeted. Well, I was being made fun of. And when someone makes fun of you as disregarded, when you get disregarded, it really shuts you down because you don't, it makes you feel less of a human, makes you feel less of a man or a woman, um, makes you feel, and it's an attack on your sexual body, not necessarily your sexuality, but your being. And it's a painful thing because you wonder why they're doing it, you know, and it is a human trait. It's a human behavior where it just happens, and you either um, push through it or it shuts you down. And what it did was it just shut me down. So um, I touched on the sexual harassment, like with the people grabbing my boobs and stuff like that, and as an adult, I experienced a lot of sexual harassment in workplaces. So basically, it's a very common thing. People question your sexuality if you're a little bit different, and that was very painful. Um, and it would shut me down, and I would just give up, you know, and very painful. And that happened almost in all of the workplaces I worked at, you know. And I didn't actually stop being friends with these people. Like I just took it and continued on working, and I took on this character of being this person that people could just make fun of, you know. Um, I had a um, I had a couple of experiences with um, difficulties with people in relationships. So I was in a relationship with a woman, and um, things were difficult, and she was basically had decided she was going to go travel Europe and leave me. So I had this expectation that the relationship was going to end, and we almost started a family together as well. And that really hurt me because it was like um, it made me feel, there's my part in the whole thing, So um, I acknowledge all that, but I didn't really get a chance to have my say. Um, it's like the decision was already made before I had an opportunity to, you know, um, and so we had this relationship was, you know, we had a lot of good times, but it had a timeline because she was going to travel Europe, and she never asked me to go travel Europe with her. So she was basically telling me she didn't want to be with me, but she wanted to be with me. So I had this very painful thing. And then around the same time, I had a friend of mine who was married, and we were working on a project together, like a business. And she made advances towards me, and she was married, which was painful because it made me uncomfortable, and I was in a relationship myself. And she left her husband, and it wasn't because of me. It was separate, but it did make her available to me, and I was I wasn't going to be going further, you know. So it just went like my only major experiences with relationships was very painful. So um, one thing I'd have experienced is been disregarded and infantilized. So um, people would either look at me like I'm not a sexual being. Um, they'd laugh at me, and on the other side, as a whole, as a person, I would be treated generally by a lot of people as if I'm not a grown up, as if I'm not responsible, as if I'm not a man. You know, so having your masculinity or your um, not being regarded. So that's why I say disregarded. That can be a very painful thing, and I have a lot of pain from that because um, when others don't have confidence in you, or they don't show, or they overtly show a negative disconfirmation in you, it then negatively it has a negative effect on you, and it attacks you on a personal level. I'll get back to the comments in a minute, but like I'm sort of on a train of thought here. I'm working through the points. Um, I had experienced that same thing with um, unavailable women, people who are married on two other occasions, and it's actually a very painful thing. Because I regard the sanctity of marriage. I understand people have open relationships and all this sort of stuff, but um, having advances made towards you and then not reciprocating them because of moral grounds or fear of retribution from the partner or whatever, um, it's a double negative effect where you not only fear ramifications from the partner, you also have the moral thing, but then you also have a negative reaction from the person who's made the advances towards you, um, and that's painful too, and it sort of takes away a bit of confidence in um, yourself in being able to deal with those situations, and they are very complex situations. So um, they're painful, and especially too if there is an attraction too, you know. Um, but I hold much higher the you know the you know if someone's in an open relationship, they should just say so. Otherwise, it's just no go zone. You know. Um, I've suffered a lot of um, manipulation and coercion in my life, and that's contributed to my trauma. You know, and this goes from the early adverse childhood experiences through to essentially my whole life, and it's something that I'm still learning how to actually um, I'm still learning how to actually say no and be more of a um, self-directed person rather than have other people feel like they can manipulate or coerce me into things. And so I've been manipulated and coerced into some very difficult situations. And so that is a trauma trigger for me. Um, and I've identified people's tactics in coercion, and when they start acting on me to try and force me into something, I shut down. I get in a triggered state, and um, uh, one of the experiences I had as a child was that it was a manipulation, a slow breaking down, and coercion over time. And so when I get put in those situations when I'm coerced or manipulated, it triggers me, but it doesn't just trigger me to non-sexual things, it triggers me to the sexual things as well. So that's very painful. Um, one of the greatest effects of having a damaged sexuality and sex life is loneliness, and it makes everything more difficult. So I'll talk about this later when I start talking about how I'm going to solve all this and educate myself and go through the process of healing. As how I'm going to go about counteracting the negative and uh, fatalistic or self-sabotaging behaviors that have led me to be lonely for so long. And so that these so it's about correcting things that if they were fixed earlier, I would be in a happy relationship right now, and I wouldn't be lonely. You know, um, on top of all of this, you have the um, ongoing pain of status anxiety and social anxiety. So you have they're both separate, but both um, at the same time always there. So um, as I went through, my 20s and 30s, all my friends were in stable relationships or having healthy sexual lives, sex lives, and I wasn't. And they were also starting families and having careers. I wasn't. So I was stuck in dead end jobs. Um, I had several other major traumas, which I can't really talk about. I've said I won't really talk about my adult traumas, and but I had an experience where um, I had made no I had made no advances towards this person except for being friendly and being a caring, friendly person. And this person became infatuated with me, and and that caused a lot of damage to me because I had made no other than being friendly, and um, I felt sorry for this person because they'd been isolated, so they didn't have much in their life, and all I was doing was being friendly. And this person became infatuated with me, and I found out about this, and I had to say to this person, "You can't have these thoughts. It's wrong. You have to stop it." I had to say, "Look, don't feel bad about it, but it's wrong. You have to stop this." But that severely affected me, and for a long period of time, and it's still a pain because um, it I can forgive this person for what they did. It's not their fault, but what it did to me was massive. It really sent me off the rails, and it shut me down and caused me to I couldn't I knew that I hadn't done anything wrong, but like I knew that um I knew how much it had hurt me. I could tell, it shut me down and caused me to just drink alcohol and give up on life. And I don't blame this person for that because it's not their fault. But what they didn't realize is how much damage it did to me and how many years of pain this caused me. you know. And this happened about a year after I'd had a major trauma in my early 20s, um, where I was used as a mule, basically, for a serious crime, which I won't go into details, but like I'd already just gone through this severe trauma in my life, and then this thing happens, and it shut me down for years and years. And so that's a sexual wound because it it really hurt me, and it's, I think I've healed from that, but I haven't healed from the fact of how much time it took away from me. But one thing I can say is that because essentially I've had major traumas throughout my whole life, I don't single any one single trauma out as being, the one. Oh well, there is a few from early childhood that really messed me up, but like I'm able to sort of differentiate and put everything on a level field, so I can process it in a way. But this thing really hurt me, and it made me lose trust and faith in a lot of things. And all it was someone having an infatuation with me, and it was wrong. And I did the right thing. I told them that they had to stop what they're doing. Um, so it's taken this long for me to actually really think about how I'm going to work on all this stuff, because I'm only just starting to learn about somatic healing, and it's touched on to the subject of sexual healing, and I know that this is a major thing that I need to work on, because a decent portion of my traumas are sexual. So it's time for me to actually do this work and learn about it. So I'm only just starting to learn about it now. Um, some of the practices that I have learned already, um, like reparenting or talking to your inner child, and helping them to change the way that they have a perspective on life, so that it can then change the way you are. Um, Loving yourself, you know, caring for yourself, being comfortable. Unfortunately, I have such high anxiety, social anxiety, is that it makes it difficult for me. Like I used to have charisma, and I used to be the life of the party and all this sort of stuff. And that's all long gone, but it could return. I could get back to that point again. And I think that once I start working on these things, so I'm only just starting to learn about it. Um, I see the chat's going off. I will get to the chat soon. Um, one of the one of the worst things with the humiliation is that it there was this thing that happened when I was 19. The humiliation continued on, and I don't speak to these people anymore because of what they did to me, and they continued making jokes. They went to the extent of actually making a song and recording it and playing it to me. One of my former friends coerced me into going into his workplace so he could video record me and send the video onto someone else to laugh at. And that this is all connected to this one thing. So it's like sometimes when people make jokes and humiliate you, they don't stop, they just keep it going, but they don't realize what they're doing to you, that they're actually keeping you in a state of like dissociation, you know, and disassociation as well, because you don't want to be around anything or anyone. So it has effects, you know, and that's why I've basically cut all my friends out, because a portion of them thought it was funny to keep a joke going for so long. And the thing is, if they had actually not been like that, my life would be completely different, because of the way that they humiliated me. It perpetuated, and it was because it was associated with sexual humiliation, and so it was such a profound effect on me. So I think I've covered most of the, you know, it's pretty common for people to have sexual harassment, and um, workplaces are usually the place where you get it, and that's where I copped it. Um, and it's usually the basic stuff, because narcissists and sociopaths, they they all do the same things over and over. They're not very smart. I mean, they might have ability to be cluey in and cunning, but they just they're like comedians that keep playing the same joke over and over. They can't, and that's why I think we all share. If you've suffered this, then you've suffered the same thing. So I'm only at the start of this healing journey, and that's what's good in this book. It has two chapters on sexual healing, and I'm going to start focusing on this as a subject and read books that are specifically about that. Now, one thing that is a major thing is that um, I can't afford. People that are rich can go to like retreat sanctuary, like spend $100,000 to go into like a sanctuary retreat place, and get therapy. I've never got anything in my life as far as therapy. Like my the best psychologist I had was the first one I went to in uh, 11 years ago, and she was amazing. And she helped me so much because I actually went to her with my problems I had, um, and we went through some of it, and she even um, ag- agreed to waiver the additional costs So I got most of the money back through the when you pay for it, you get money back. I got most of it back. And so that was very important for me because even though I was working a full-time job and I had money coming in, I couldn't really afford it. And so I really appreciate that. But she was really great. She was very understanding, and I was able to open up to her about because I was self-harming at the time, and she helped me to stop that. And but as far as the positive healing, like really getting your sexuality and getting back functioning and like all that stuff, like you know, that's something for the rich that can afford that because they're very expensive. You know, um, I'm on a pension, so I and when I start going into business for myself next year or the year after, I'm going to be strapped for cash. I, I've got to do this on the budget, so I've got to read books, and I have to somehow learn exercises that I can do from reading all this literature. But I can totally see how specialist clinics can actually really help people, you know, and there's various ways that they do it. And it all depends on what it is that is what's the barrier and the blockage and the trauma that you're trying to heal. So I'm only at the very beginning of this, and I've identified that it's such a major aspect to like everything, and how I've talked about here that it's interconnected. So when I am put in a position of manipulation or coercion, it is associated with the times where I was manipulated and coercion in a sexual way. So it has this double effect on me. Um, because I was humiliated for a prolonged period of time, it's had such an effect on me because it's meant that I've self isolated, pushed myself away from friendships, and I've lost trust. So in order for me to open up in a relationship, I've got to establish the vulnerability of trust again. And how do I do that? You know, um, hopefully I learn this stuff from reading enough literature because there's all the research that's been done. There's hundreds of books out there to read. So I've got to find the right books to read and the ones that have the practical exercises that you can do. The other problem is too is I'm single, so um, a lot of research is done for couples. So it's how couples can fix their sexual healing, and so I have to find the books that actually help people who are alone to fix themselves. But I'll do that, and as I do find the right books, I'll share what I read. And I mean, the stuff where it's in interpersonal with relationships and stuff, that's very important too, because a big thing about um, uh, people get in the wrong relationships, or they keep finding the same person that keeps being the same person, like they keep going from person to person, and they keep getting stuck in the same relationships, so they have to fix themselves before they can actually find the right partner for them, so that's another thing. So, I'm not going to discount the the I'm still going to read the books that are written for couples as well, because I want to learn all about that stuff. But I want to look at myself as, I need to specialize in my position, you know, someone who's closed off, isolated, wants to re-engage. Um, how do you do that? And so, with anxiety, you have exposure therapy. So, um, I'm going to try and start. I don't know. Ask women out on dates again. See if I can do that. See if they'll want to actually spend some time with me. Um, or go and socialize. Even though I've got anxiety, I know that there's a few sort of places, social events that I can go to where I feel comfortable, and I know that nice people go to, that I could potentially get that opportunity to do that. You know, we have dating apps. And for me, uh, I'm afraid of dating apps. You know, I'd rather um, find a connection and establish something. So social groups are a good thing to start, because you have something in common. Um, but even before I get to that point, I need to actually really work on all of these other things. So I've got to work on the anxiety. Um, I've got to understand that I'm limited in what I can do. Over the next 6 months to a year, I don't have the opportunity to start a relationship because of life situations. So what that does is that gives me 6 months to research and study and practice the healing and heal first. And then once I've done that, I'll be confident and I'll be able to, like, give things a go, and see what can happen, and go into it with a positive attitude and an open mind, and not have expectations, and maybe something will happen. I've already got that understanding that, don't jump into it thinking that something's going to happen. That's been my problem in the past, right? So my biggest problem has been, I've had the fairy tale dream of like a perfect relationship and all that, and it's prevented me from having anything simple and casual. And you have to understand that maybe you have to have a few relationships before you find the person that is the right person that you want to have a long-term relationship with. But because I've been so closed off, I've never had that, you know. So that goes back to the status anxiety of everyone else had a period of a lot of people I grew up with, they had time in their 20s where they had casual relationships, and then they settled down, and then they had families. I didn't have any of that, you know. I've My track record is, I've had, a few relationships, and they one was for a few years, and the others were like very brief. So I've had virtually no luck at all. And I've been alone and lonely for so long. Doesn't mean I've got a strong libido, so I know that there's no problem with that. Um, but I've got a very weakened. I've got to heal. I've got I've got a lot of work on. I've got a lot to work on. So yeah, exposure therapy is going to be a big thing. And I've gotten past these traumas in a lot of ways, so that's helped. And I've come to terms with the humiliation that I suffered. You know, um, I mean, I even had someone plant a camera and take a photo of me going to the toilet and send it to me through Facebook a few years ago to fuck with me. And I don't know why I had, there's no reason why this person, I have a fair idea who it was. And that's what the detective said. It was most likely someone you know. And I'm over that. I'm past it. It's their conscience that for what they did. But it did affect me. And it affected me sexually because it prevented me actually from being in the right place to start a relationship with someone. It put me off track for 6 months. So it's amazing. And we live in this world where that's very common these days. This stuff happens to a lot of people. I'm not alone at all there. This is very common with technology, and it's horrible. But I'm past that now. They've got their own guilt for doing that to me, and I'm looking at the list of stuff I've written, and I think I've gone through everything. Um, the main thing is solutions and working on it. So I'm only on the first book that's really touched on sexual healing, and this will be my next thing. Like once I've got a list of 6 books, I think, at the moment, which I've got to read. And then as soon as I've gotten through that 6, it's just going to be my main topic of books I read for a couple of months. And I'm gonna work on this stuff. I can't afford the therapists because they are very expensive, and the clinics are very expensive. So I have to do this work myself. So yeah, but I know I can do it, and you know I'm confident. You know, and it might be that it could be an awesome thing for me that I'm actually starting this journey. Is that I start having some positive experiences and interactions, and I get my confidence back and my charisma back, and I start being more attractive to women. Because if I'm all disheveled and self doubt, you project that. The other problem is self sabotage. I have to get over that, and that comes with also the healing of the traumas as well, because it's associated with all that. So I'll get there. You know. Thanks. It's, there's a lot of people in the chat, and um, I don't know if I should scroll up or just start at the thing, but like I just saw Sixth Sense saying that's awful. I think that's to do with the photo. Yeah, that's awful. They made a meme about it and made a funny meme to make fun of me. And yeah, it did. It really affected me for about 6 months, and then afterwards, I sort of forgot about it. But it was always there, and it's something. It happens. Unfortunately, that thing happens a lot to women. They have what's revenge porn or whatever. So people take photos and then they put them on the internet, and it's their ex partner that does it. So this was someone just trying to hurt me, make fun of me. But I don't know why. I don't pick fights with people. So I might scroll. I don't know if I should scroll up. Like the comments will be like associated with what I was talking about. So um, I'll just sort of scroll through and not read every single one and sort of catch up. But like, this was a topic I wasn't sort of expecting people necessarily to want to share their stuff because it's very personal, but it's good that people are responding to what I'm saying. Preppy says, yeah, I'm right here for you. I know we both need this. Thank you so much. Preppy says, yeah, we can do it. No. Preppy says, have you heard about a book called Personal Matter? See, that's what I love about these things. I always find out stuff to look up. Thank you for that. I'll look it up. Book. See, that'll be a book I read. Oh, A Personal Matter. Yeah, Preppy says, yeah, the aftermath is often worse because you have the ability to see in hindsight. That's absolutely true. And that's one of the biggest things is you before you recapitulate, you ruminate and you go over it, and if it's something very traumatic, you'll be getting flashbacks and trauma triggers, and you'll be going through the pain of it too. So depending on how severe it is, depends on how it's affecting you. So I'm just all these lovely comments from Preppy saying thanks, and like you're golden. Thank you so much. So such high praise. I'm just, I get this courage to be able to talk this stuff because of everyone here. You know, it's I've got massive anxiety. I have trouble going out in public, but I can do this stuff, and also I get response back from everyone saying how much they appreciate it, and that's why I feel like I can do it. So thank you. It's always thank you right back at you. Because um, Crappy says, I'd love to see a few of us meet up sometime. Need to start participating, and this is the best I can do right now. You're giving such a good place to be. Oh, geez. I don't know if I should read that last line out, but like, you basically said you made it through the night because of me. And that's really, I don't know what to say. Like, thank you for being that person, you know. So, and know that, look, you're special, and know that you have to. Each day is difficult. Just keep going. Just keep pushing through it. So, like, no, I'll still be here. I'll make sure I'm still here. So you do the same, okay? And we're all gonna help heal each other. That's what it's all about. So, Preppy, just remember that. So, exactly. It's good knowing that that's that. If this is, if this really, um this really brings a significance to me of how much it really is helping. So, and it is doing that to me too. So, and know that you're not alone. I went through crisis last year and I survived, and I'm still here, and I'm glad I am. And it's tough. So reach out. I've got my email address on my bio. If you ever want to email, just send me an email. I check it every day. I don't check it every few hours, but I check it once a day. So send me an email if you want to speak. We can chat. Um, Everybody says, not your fault, but I've caused a lot of pain to other people not knowing. Yeah, I have too. We all hurt people. That's something we can't escape. We all hurt people. No one's perfect, you know. So it's it's almost impossible. So it's something if we can acknowledge that, no one's perfect, and I've come to terms with the hurt that I've caused other people. So it might sound like I'm always talking about all the stuff people hurting me, but I understand that I've hurt other people. Says, yeah, I've hurt so many people with my intentions, and that's the thing is you try to you try you try to hurt people. No, sorry, you try to help people, but it ends up hurting them, and that is such a common thing. And it's the same thing with what's happened to me is people have tried to help me, and it's had an adverse effect. You know, so Burpee says, yeah, those humans likely remember this too. Yeah, I think that's it, and that's why I've gone through a big forgiveness of people. Um, it has helped me a lot to go through forgiveness. Preppy says, yeah, it will hurt them more when they see their children go through it. Yeah, that is a thing too. You know, people grow up bullying other people or hurting other people, and then they realize they then they see it happen again, and then they might have gone through remorse themselves, but it's too late, and then they have to realize that sometimes it's like you say, people don't mean to hurt other people, and they just do. And then there's the obvious abuse. Um, Thank you. Preppy says, "Stop. We are here for you. I'm here for you. Thank you so much." I'm skipping a few comments so I can catch up with the chat. Preppy says, "Yeah, please hear me, please. This is exactly what I'm feeling right now." Well, that means a lot to me. If what I'm saying is, you know, what you're experiencing, then and so it's good to know that you're not alone. Preppy saying my character's being questioned. It's the worst thing. Preppy says, I'm batting on Luke Johnson's team. Thank you. So these comments were all coming through as I was talking through all this stuff. Preppy says, I'm often perceived as sexual being, mostly because of my looks. I style myself intentionally to be an attractive and messy and ugly, just Mongo though it threw it again. Everyone said I was pretty and I would never have to worry. I'm so afraid of living that no one wants to be with me. That's really tough. And I'm sorry that that's where you're at. And so stay strong. you know it's one of the hardest things. Okay, look, I had someone tell me I was like I was beautiful in the last 24 hours, and it made me blush, and like I had a massive smile on my face because I have this I think I'm ugly, and I've talked about this. And people say you're not ugly, and it's like, well, I feel like I am. And it's one of the hardest things. But it meant so much to me to have someone say that beautiful comment to me. So I really appreciate it when they said that to me. You know, Preppy says, um, "I am no better than the sum of my parts." That's an interesting comment. And that's it. Like you got to take up all the bits, and then you know, and that's how you can look at your positive aspects, because everyone's got negative aspects that we don't like. Um, but mostly there's probably more positive aspects than the negative ones. So that's what helps you realize that things are generally better. Six Sense Amelia's here, says hello, Luke, in chat room. Michaela's here, says hi. How you going, Six Sense and Michaela? Six Sense says hello, Michaela. Six Sense says, I'm quickly listening to the first 10 minutes on 2x speed catch up. Awesome. I wonder what I sound like in 2x speed. I was speaking slowly, so like it probably would sound normal. That's awesome. That's a great way to do it. I didn't know you could. I knew you could speed it up, but like I didn't realize you could do that on live streams. Preppy says, yeah, it's just so hard to explain because it sounds so trivial. It is. It is so hard to explain. It's so complicated. Such a difficult thing. There's so many aspects to it all. And, so Preppy says, is there a space where we can share these things? A healing group for the loss of time? That's another trauma within itself. Look, I'm going to set up like a forum, whether it's WhatsApp or Discord or one of those. But I'm not going to hurry into it because I've got so much going on in my life. So I'll just keep doing these streams. So if we all just keep in contact through the streams, and then we can set up. And I want to have a forum that, you can have places where you can vent and talk about your traumas, and then sections where we talk about healing. So that they don't get mixed up, because you don't want people getting triggered and stuff like that. So there's safe areas. Um, so it's definitely on the cards, but we're just not going to hurry with it, because I've got so much on my plate at the moment, like with my own healing, my caring role, and I don't want to take another thing on at the moment. And I think it's probably better to just take a bit of time with it, and set something up, that, because it's going to have to be moderated, and it's going to have to be, it becomes a problem, not a problem, it becomes a lot of work. So I want to have it something that's people want to go to, um, and where like you can share, like people can do book reviews and go, I just read this book, this was the most awesome thing, chapter 5 talked about this, and like, that's exactly what I want to have in a forum. And also have a place where people can just say, look, this is what happened to me today. I'm members of a PTSD group on Facebook, and it's a little bit overwhelming, because people get on there who are really distraught, and it can be very triggering and traumatizing, and you don't it's not necessarily a positive place. So if we're to have a forum, we need to have that, a place where people can vent and share their trauma, and when they're needing to speak to someone in an emergency, have that place, but also have other places within the same forum where it's all positive and encouraging, and all that sort of stuff. So Preppy says, I'm 41 and still acting like a teenager. Yeah, well, that happens with trauma. Totally, it does. It affects you. It you know it prevents you from growing up in a way, some ways, and in other ways you grow up faster. So you become more mature in some ways, but then it also stunts or prevents you from growing up in other ways. And that's a difficult thing, and it's different for everyone too. So you might be grown up in some ways, but then you're still um, not fully developed in other ways. And you know what? I feel, and that's what people say about me, is that I still have maybe not now, but for most of my adult life, I've had this like exuberance and happiness about like discovery of new things when everyone else became jaded. And so that was something that they wish they had, which I had. And it was because of the trauma. It was because I was always searching for something new, and all these people were like, couldn't care, you know. But then on the other side, they had grown up and they had houses and families and careers and traveled the world, did all this stuff which I didn't do. So that's, it's one of these things. I'm enjoying, like, I'm 46 and I'm making YouTube videos. I'm having fun going recording the sunset and doing these live streams and stuff, like Um, it's it's never it's never too late to start something new and to learn something new, and rejoice in the vitality of what it was like to be young again, because um, you find that the people that are really old, like they could be in their 80s and they still have this exuberance about life, and they're the ones that really enjoy the rest of their life because they haven't given up. I'm loving all these comments, Preppy. I love how you just like all this praise and like making me feel so good. I can't read out all the comments because I'm trying to catch up with the chat, but it's like Preppy says, "Yeah, you're helping us, right? Thank you so much." Well, it's helping me, right? You know, we're helping each other. But if I kept stuff inside for so long, so I've got all this stuff to talk about, and I have all this sensitive stuff I can't talk about. You know what I mean? Like some serious stuff. Like that I just can't talk about it. But I can talk about it in a way that doesn't actually talk about the topic directly. You know what I mean? So if I can do it in a way that is, um, it gives me the opportunity to, like, for instance, all the stuff about the humiliation and stuff. Like, I'm not going to talk about what they were, the details about it, and I'm never going to speak. I'm not never going to say anyone's name. I'm. It's very hard for anyone to actually pinpoint who I'm talking about, so I can actually talk about my life without causing problems. So, um, I mean, the people themselves might know, oh shit, he's talking about me, but no one else will. So it gives me the opportunity to actually talk about my traumas. So, um, yeah, Preppy says those are not your friends, Luke. Well, that's it. You know, I sort of miss some of them, but I basically cut out most of my friends because of this stuff. And if they didn't take it that far, you know, they basically prevented me being in a. I'd be married to this woman that I fell in love with, but um, because they made fun of me, it put me in a really bad state, and it stuck me in that state for a long time. So Preppy says, "Yeah, we are your friends." Thank you, Preppy. I consider you a friend. Um, Preppy says, "I know it's not a choice, but there's a way to make it not matter so much." That's a good way to look at it. It really is. I think that's a good way to actually let go of trauma and pain, is just changing your perception of it, and saying, I'm not going to allow that to hurt me anymore, or I'm going to think about that differently. I'm still having to skip a few of your comments, Preppy, just so I can catch up with the chat. Um, but they'll be there in the replay. Um, awesome. Preppy says, yes, sir, I'm going to try them with you and see what I can find. I think that's referring to the exercises. So as I come across these exercises, like this book here's got like exercises on sexual healing. So once, like I'm gonna see what ones I can share, and see whether I can copyright wise share exercises and teach people. Um, Exercises, and there are a lot of exercises that are out there in public domain, that are clinics and universities and stuff have got on their web pages that you can download. Um, but we got to try them out and see which works. So, like, it's they don't all work. That's the thing. So Preppy says, I have no real money, but I'll always have enough for the next book. That's an awesome thing. That I'm basically doing that too now. Like, I spent $100 on ebooks from Google Books the other day, and whenever I have spare money like that, that's I'm investing in that. I like physical books, but I've only recently started doing the ebooks thing because they're a little bit cheaper too, and but having physical books, like I've got this from the library, but I've got to take it back to the library, so I want to like photocopy sections of it now, so I need a scanner or something, or actually go to the library and photocopy pages or something like that. So get the bits out of there that I need. Preppy says I ripped out handfuls of my hair yesterday because my boyfriend told me if I couldn't still be he if I couldn't sit still, he would leave me for good. I'm sorry that happened. He's not bad, but he's under a little stress, I'm guessing. True. Preppy says, yeah, we can share a few books for free. That's the other thing too, is you can download books off the internet. In a lot of cases, especially if they've already sold millions of copies of the book, getting the copy for free, like, it's not such a bad thing. And you can also use the library system as well, but like you have to give it back when you get it from the library. You only got it for a few weeks. Sam likes fruits here. How you going, Sam? Sam says there, the Bible's the only right book. Well, it is for a lot of people, and the Bible does have a lot of useful stories in it, So and that goes for all the different Bibles or religious texts. Sam likes fruit says all the rest will fill your head full of shite. That's funny. Michaela says, yeah, to Sam, there are more books. That's true. But like it is, to give it credit, like it does have a lot of good information in there. And it's all open. The other thing too is it's open for interpretation too. So um but they're interesting comments. Preppy says, I want to just hold your head close to me. I want to comfort you. Thank you. You can. I'm feeling my head. So like, imagine that. Yeah, that's part of my pain. I lost my son, and I just want to meet a man that misses his mummy, that figured out how to be a good man. I'm so sorry you lost your son, Preppy. That's that's a serious pain that you'll be thinking of every day, and you'll be feeling literally a part of you is missing, and you have this longing and this pain, and so I can't imagine what the pain that you must be going through, you know. I had a pain from almost becoming a father myself, but it didn't happen, and it's a different type of pain, you know. So I have no idea how much it would be a constant or a daily thing that you always think about, you know. So I'm sorry that this happened to you. Preppy says, "You're amazing, Luke. I'm single and alone and trying to make a good peace." Well, see, we're not alone together. See, yeah, we aren't. Preppy says we aren't designed to be alone. We aren't. We're social beings. You know, we're meant to be in pairs or in groups. You know, and um, we also humans also do thrive in solitude, but it has to be under your own terms. When you're forced into solitude, it's not good for you. But if you're happy and content with it, then it can be a good thing. And even when you do go into solitude, you should still have some interaction and connection to the outside world. So Sam says, and the Lord said, "My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. For there were giants in the earth those days, and also." That's interesting. Sixth Sense says, "You've taken an important step by being vulnerable with yourself and not avoiding your feelings." Thank you, Sixth Sense Amelia. I feel like it's funny, like I have this massive social anxiety, but I feel comfortable sitting here in my bedroom. I'm sitting on my bed right now, you know. Um, I'm able to talk. I'm talking right now. Like this is what right now. This is happening right now. Like we're speaking right now. This is the magic of it. Um, Sam says, "After that, and the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were the of old, men of renown." I've heard that before. That's like a classic bit from the Bible. Preppy says, "All right, relationship, wrong time." Yeah, that's true. That happens. Right person, right everything, or wrong everything, wrong nothing. There's a lot of ground to cover. Ah, he's awesome. Preppy says, "I did exposure therapy yesterday." Awesome. I did that last week. I went to do a mental health first aid course, and I had to go into public, busy place, and I was in a room full of strangers, and like they were really nice people, and we are all carers as well, so everyone had a connection. Um, I did drive there early, like I left early, so I beat the traffic, and um, when I went to go get these books from the library, and I was so nervous when I got to the library. I had to ask the librarian how to I hadn't used the checkout system before, and she had showed me, and I was like all excited and stuff. And then when I got to the car, I noticed the mirror was off on the other side of the car, and like so silly. Like I didn't think wind the window down and fix it from inside the car so you get it right. I walked around the other side of the car and adjusted it, which you can't do properly. You can't. It's very hard to adjust the side mirror. And then I walked back around, and you know how they have those concrete things on the ground in front of the car park, so you hit the concrete thing, you don't go any further. I tripped on that. I fell flat on my wrists, and my knees, and I felt like such an idiot, and it was all because I was like anxious from having that whole day of being in public, and I was rushing. I was rushing to like get home, and like I'd just been like walked into the library, and there's all these people everywhere, and I was just like, and then I felt like silly for because of the way I was talking to the librarian. I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me how to do this? Oh, it's like that." Oh, I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool. This and that and that." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And she was just like, "This guy's too much." Like, and I'm normally calm and everything, but I was just like acting like I was anxious. So that's good you did exposure therapy. I did it last week, and I'm gonna try and do it once a week at least, and then build it up. And I was proud of it too myself for doing it. Um, Preppy says, "Yeah, I feel like I'm worse now. All I did was cry." I'm sorry to hear that. Um, you do get that the day after, sort of. You get that high and then the low. So hopefully you're feeling a bit better. You'll feel a bit better, and keep doing it. The thing about exposure therapy is try and keep it happening. Like, don't let it go too long before the next one. You know, um, talking from someone who's barely been in public, for 2 months now, I've barely gone out in public. Like I go to the petrol station at 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? And I really have to work on my anxiety, and I have to do it through exposure therapy, bit by bit. Bit by bit is how you do it, and find that like you go to a place and yeah, you have a short conversation with someone, and you might be difficult, but then hopefully they're a nice person, and then you can next time you won't feel so anxious, and bit by bit you get back to it. Because I used to be a very public person, and then I just shut off. My goal is to go to poetry night next month, so in 4 weeks or something. I want to go to a poetry night, so I feel comfortable there. They're all really nice people. So, and I'll have friends going as well. So I'll have friends support, which will help. Um, yeah, Preppy says we need reading club apps. Honestly, yeah, true. Well, we've got the book club with this channel, but the book club is all books that aren't therapy books. So they're all just interesting books. But once we get like a forum going, which will be take a bit of time, we'll get this happening, and it's just not going to happen straight away. Six Sense Amelia says, "What is the exposure therapy, Preppy?" I think I just explained it. It's like it's when um, you go out in public, like you expose yourself to, say you got anxiety of being around people, you force yourself to be around them. So like, you know, you say like, I can't leave the house today, but you go, I will go to the shop, and you go to the shop. You don't go have a coffee in restaurant or that sort of stuff. I'm going to take a toilet break, but like I'll keep going through the comments. Um, Thanks for everyone for being here, and the comments are just awesome. Yeah, so exposure therapy is like, say you're scared of spiders, you know, you might start with a plastic spider, and then you get someone to hold a plastic spider, and then the next time you might get a real spider and get them to hold a real spider. So might start by putting a spider in the room and you see it in the corner, and then you get closer to it, and then eventually you let the spider crawl all over you. So you bit by bit get more used to being exposed to the thing that you're afraid of. Preppy says, let's do live laundry or something. That's awesome. Maybe I'll do that. I'll do a live stream where I do my washing and that. I'm going to write that down. I'll say Preppy. I'll put Preppy there too. So live laundry. That's a wicked idea. I can use my phone and just set it up and have it set up there and do the washing. Sam's got some more Bible verse. I'll read it out. It's they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount on the wings as the eagles. They shall run and not the weary, and they shall walk and not faint. That's interesting. Preppy says yes. Live laundry! Exclamation marks. I can be at Las Vegas laundromat at 2 a.m. live, which would be early afternoon for y'all. We can't do it today, but we'll tee it up so that you can do your laundry and have a live stream of me doing my laundry. How's that sound? We'll tee it up for some time in the future. So you can be there at 2 a.m. See, that's the beauty of it. So it can work out good for me. But we can't do it today because I've got to go to sleep after this. I've been up all night. That's a really cool idea. I love this live laundry idea. 6 Cents Amelia says that's awful. That's referring to what I said earlier. Yeah. I'm only catching up on the chat. So this is probably when I was talking about when someone took a photo of me. Yeah. It did, that messed me up for a while. And then after a few weeks, I started getting back to normal. And then after a while, I didn't care about it. I got past it all. And I took it as an attack, basically. And it was it wasn't a physical attack. Like if someone really wanted to hurt me, they could have just physically hurted me or damaged property or something. But like they mentally, emotionally hurt me. And that it was actually several crimes that were committed, break and enter, taking the photo, and then sending it through the internet. So there were several crimes that were committed just doing the one thing, just to make a joke. But this is such a common thing these days that happens to people, and young people in high school, and that happens to them all the time. Their friends do it, and it's just horrible. Just happened to me. Curly's here. How you going, Curly? Good to see you here. That's Curly says horrible. That's horrible. What a miserable human being. Yeah, exactly. Sixth Sense Amelia says, yeah, listening and thinking. Thumbs up. Sam's got some more Bible verse. You got me reading Bible verse, Sam. I'll do it. I'll read it out. I don't mind. Thou call us, because I'm pantheistic. I'm not just like, I believe I listen to all religions and stuff. So, and non-religions as well. All belief systems I sort of am interested in learning about. Thou callest in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Selah, I hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee. There you go. Alex is here. How you going, Alex? Good to see you here, mate. Alex says, Luke, I'm here. I'm working, so I can't chat much. That's all right, mate. This was a random sort of stream today. Like, I do my Sunday streams, and I'm starting to do a Saturday stream as well. So I'm starting to do a Saturday stream in the morning here, which is good for America time. And then my Sunday streams after evening here, which is like very late night, like 3 in the morning or something in America. That's why I don't know what time it is right now. But that's awesome. You're working, you can't chat, but if you can listen, and you can always watch the replay too. Sixth Sense Amelia says, agnostic Sam says to Sam. That's it. Yeah. I'm sort of agnostic, but I also I do learn about lots of religions, and I do believe in a universal consciousness sort of thing. So I'm sort of, I don't know. I don't even really know. I believe that there is a consciousness within the universe, and that we live in just reality itself is magical, and I believe humans are spiritual beings. That we have more than just matter in our brains, and that's it. There's more to it. Michaela says, thank you, Amelia. Hard Knock Studio says, hurt people. That's it. That's true. But not all of them. They don't all do it. So I think I don't know what the percentage is, but I think some do and some don't. Sam says, no one can help you other than God. No one. Alex says, it's like growing up in reverse. Very odd. That is interesting. I just had deja vu then reading that comment. I really did. I just had like deja vu just then, Alex. And I think maybe it's to do with the comment too. That was just like, like everything just centered in on that. And I was just like, it's a very interesting comment. It's like growing up in reverse, very odd. See, I'm finally caught up with the comments. And so that's probably where I was at with what I was talking about. Sixth Sense Amelia says, listening while you catch up with comments. Awesome. That's good. That's what I love about these chats and streams is, you can just sit back and listen, and hopefully I keep the conversation going well enough so that it is enjoyable to do that, and you also understand what's going on. Eric, Nenortis, how you going, Eric? Good to see you here. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Good to see you too, brother. And Resonant Reflections is here. How you going, Resonant Reflections? I saw your last video, which was really good. It's really awesome what you're doing on your YouTube channel. Keep making the videos. It's awesome. So it's good to see you. I really like what you're talking about with the music and how it helps with neuroplasticity in the brain and healing the brain. And I totally agree with what you're talking about. Is because I was like a composer for a period of time, and I found music as a therapy, and I certainly think in phrases, 32 beats, phrases, or I got up to longer than that, but like there's a certain length of phrase that I could memorize, and I can't read music. I never learnt to read music properly, but I was able to compose music by thinking in phrases and overlapping and creating shorter, 4-bar or 12-bar, and then 32 and longer. And I love music for that. For it's a language, and you don't have to be able to write it. I'm illiterate. That's what I say to people. I'm illiterate with music, but I can still make music. So I'll send you an email with some links to some of my songs, and you can hear some of the stuff, because I've made a lot of different styles of music, but I think you'd like some orchestral stuff that I've made. Sixth Sense says hi, Resonant. Hi, Eric. It's been really nice this morning. I'm appreciative of being able to, talk about all this stuff. And it was a little bit difficult at first because it's sort of personal stuff. But then, because I was speaking about it in abstract enough sort of terms, I wasn't getting too personal, so I felt comfortable in talking about it. And I want to talk about it more, and now it's going to be a thing that I study. I really want to learn how to fix things, Are you sure it's here? How you going? Are you sure? Are you sure says, I've been tranced with this song from Dom Dem Gimahastan. Where can you listen to that song? Is it on like Spotify or on SoundCloud or something? Sounds like it's Swedish or Norwegian or something, or Estonian or something. So yeah, let us know where you got that song. What who is it? Um, it's a trance song, or you're entranced with the song. So what style of music is it? I'll check it out. I'll write it down and I'll check it out for you. So that's what I do. I'll look it up. Been great. Everyone here, all the chat, like everyone's contributed, and all the, especially Preppy was saying such nice things. Um, Lots of praise, which makes me feel really nice. Everyone's been saying nice things, but Preppy was saying all the stuff at the beginning and was really um, making me feel good with all the nice things. But everyone's been saying some nice things. Are sure says, yeah. Yeah, I've written it down, so I'll look it up. I don't know what style of music is trance. You said trance? It's trance, or always interested in. I'm just getting back into listening to music again after not listening to music for a long time. So yeah, it's been great. There you go. The different beats are amazing. Six Sense Amelia says listening along, making a snack, nice. I should probably eat something soon. It's like my dinner time really, even though it's 10 o'clock, because my times are all over the shop. It's on YouTube. All right, I'll look for it. I've written down the name of the song, so I know what to look for. Yeah, it's Norwegian. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, Norwegian with the language. Because I used to use my um, I used to call myself Denmarker on SoundCloud, the dark. Yep, I found it. I won't play it now, but I found the song there. Are you sure? See, there you go. That's great for that. Thanks for that. Gives me something to listen to. But I'm gonna end the stream here. It's been great, everyone. Thanks for listening to me today. It's been really healing for me to talk about these topics and how difficult it is and what I really need to focus on. And sorry, I keep shaking the screen because I've got the mouse on there. Um, it's really good for me to be able to share this stuff, and um, it gives me a reason to work through it all, these problems I have, and gives me hope, and I feel a lot of love from everyone and care and compassion and understanding, and it gives me confidence and it gives me a reason to keep going, and um, it it yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been great today. I enjoyed it. Much love to everyone.